What's up everyone, Kaze no What If is here with What If Naruto had a leveling system. Before we start, if you like the video, like it, share with your friends, comment, and let's start the video. Naruto gazed in awe at Tenten as she seemed to float in mid-air, with the scrolls appearing out of the smoke dragons. She was really amazing, but really pissed at the Newtonin. The blonde boy decided that keeping on this girl's good side was a priority in the future. As she reached for the scrolls, the world turned gray and everything froze. Tenten, the movement of the trees and the movement of the Newtonin, all stopped dead. This choice will determine the future of your relationship with Higurashi Tenten. Choose carefully, because words once spoken cannot be taken back, and actions speak louder than words. Choice 1: Fight alongside Tenten and defeat the missing ninja together. Plus 500 reputation with Higurashi Tenten, plus 250 alignment, plus 1000 EXP. Choice 2: plus 100 reputation with Higurashi Tenten, plus 250 alignment, plus 50 EXP. What the, as if I'd just stand back and let my clones fight. Naruto scoffed as he hit the first option with one hand, drawing a handful of shuriken with the other. Tenten, let's take on these losers together, he shouted as the world returned to normal. Got it? Tenten grinned savagely as she replied. A window popped up. Survive, you and Tenten have been attacked by 4 Newtonin in Training Ground 13. Defeat them or survive their attacks on you for 10 minutes, at which time reinforcements will arrive to aid you. Quest completion reward, 3000 EXP, plus 1000 relationship with, minus 1000 relationship with, random piece of armor, 10,000 Ryo. Quest failure, a fate worse than death. Bonus objective, defeat at least 1 enemy combatant. Bonus reward, mystery prize. Accept. Y/N. Naruto scanned the opposition, 4 missing ninja, as he hit the Y button. Abarshan LV-29. Miyanaga Kiyakairo LV-26. Ryamanbuchi Sho LV-27. Shioizumai Reiji LV-26. He frowned. Those titles were uniformly suspicious. What was with the quote marks in them? Anyway, they were way stronger than both Tenten and himself, but fortunately, he had scanned several people over the past few months and had concluded that levels were only one indication of a person's power. Several Chunin had had poorer stats than Tenten, a genin, possessed. Whether it was lack of training or some other factor Naruto didn't know, but some people, rank and level to one side, were just weirdly weak. Mizuki team for example was way weaker than Iruka sensei. Futon, Kaiten Shuriken, he shouted, throwing all 5 of the shuriken into the air after infusing them with his wind nature chakra, just as Tenten tapped the scrolls twirling around her. Releasing a swarm of weapons that she started throwing at the 4 startled missing nin with such speed and accuracy they barely had time to dodge her weapons, several sharp kunai. The injured one barely managed to hop away before being struck by the projectiles. This meant they were taken off guard when Naruto slammed his Kaiten Shuriken into their legs and arms. The one with the injury, Shioizumai, actually screamed when the Shuriken buried itself in his arm. This was an additional effect that Kaiten Shuriken had gained when it had reached level 10. The wind style, rotating shuriken jutsu is a useful jutsu for increasing the effectiveness of your shuriken jutsu. By infusing a shuriken with wind nature chakra, you increase its cutting power. Once a shuriken has been infused, you can manipulate the shuriken to attack your opponents remotely. Actively increases the damage of any infused blade weapon by 25 plus 5%. Actively allows you to control the infused weapon up to 15 meters away. Added effect, Blades of Lesser Wind. Once the shuriken strike a target, they unleash 2 to 3 additional blades of wind into the target, causing 10 to 15 plus 5% points of damage with a high chance for a critical hit. Hand signs, none. Number of weapons that can be infused and manipulated, 5. Costs 23 CP per weapon, per minute. Futon affinity and chakra control cost reductions included. The that it had picked up from somewhere was really useful thanks to the high critical hit ratio. In every test Naruto had done with them, there was a 100% chance of at least one of the blades scoring a critical hit, a 60% chance of 2 critical hits and a 10% of all 3. Per individual shuriken. Judging by the gritted teeth from the other missing ninja, they had all been hit with at least one blade, with the injured one getting hit with all 3 critical hits. Which would explain why his arm was flopping around uselessly. That's one that we don't have to worry about ninjutsu or genjutsu coming from. Naruto thought grimly, and with his leg mostly immobilized, he won't be a threat taijutsu-wise unless we go near him. Which we won't. Beat the brats, one ordered dully, in that same monotone. That, more than their odd titles, convinced Naruto that these guys were not what they seemed to be. Doton, Dangan no Jutsu, 3 voices called out from the side of the battle, the missing ninjas snapping their heads around to see 3 men here sailing towards them. Abandoning their crippled teammate, the mobile ones leapt away from ground zero, leaving the last man to scream once before being squashed under one of the rock bullets. Eliminate the clones and blind them, the same person, Abar, the highest leveled one, ordered before running through 3 hand signs, Sutten, Rekusuichiki no Jutsu. Futon, Kiryu Ranbu no Jutsu. Ryamonbuchi snarled. Katon, Gokakyo no Jutsu. Miyanaga chanted. As the wind picked up and flung dust around, blinding the 2 genin, spears of water shot out from one side and a gout of flames shot out of the other side, aiming straight at the clones. Who responded with a wave of Dangan. This countered the flames of the Gokakyo, but the Rekusuichiki chewed through the rock impediment, forcing the IWA Bunchin to dodge to the side. Time to remind them I'm here. Naruto thought as he knelt of the ground, ran through 3 hand signs and then slammed his hand on the ground, shouting, Doton, Gansutsukan no Jutsu. Erupting from the ground were 10 stone canes that were clustered in a loose spread at where the one still firing the Rekusuichiki roughly stood. From the cursing that came several seconds later as the water spears stopped, at least one had scored a hit. Tenten had been sending thrown weapon after thrown weapon into the dust cloud in an attempt to track down the other 2, but had had no luck. With a growl, the girl ended her jutsu and descended to earth again. Bajutsu, Sansetsukan. She muttered as she unsealed a plain black staff that had 2 divides spaced equally. How are you doing, Naruto? Killed one of them, wounded another. He replied grimly, there should be reinforcements coming soon, what with all the noise we've made here and the flash from the Katon Jutsu. I don't know any, so that should send warning signals to the Umbu on guard. Tenten grinned. Life is never boring when you're around, Naruto. I guess so. The blonde boy replied, really wishing that he could use his Tanto at this point as he made another Gansutsukan. Damn, this dust cloud is thick. Any sign of the enemy? My eyes are sharp, but not Byakugan sharp. The weapons mistress replied as she went back to back with him to prevent the 3 remaining enemies from sneaking up on them easily. It can't last long. Whoever's maintaining this is using a hell of a lot of chakra to do so, and a futon affinity is really, really rare, so it must be draining chakra from him like a sponge to water. Take them. Abar ordered, his voice echoing from all around them. Naruto gritted his teeth. The man was using some sort of jutsu to make his voice appear to come from all around him like that. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted a shadow moving around in the dust. These people had to be capable of elemental clones as well, so he couldn't risk reacting yet. He heard a whirring sound in the air and then a metallic clank as Tenten deflected a shuriken with her staff, then he felt a presence from above. "Down," he shouted, following his own advice and doing so. Tenten did as well, just in time to dodge a savage slash from Miyanaga wielding a ninjato. "We have to take them alive, you idiot," Abar said as he appeared and tried to cut Naruto's arm off with his own weapon, an extra-large kunao that was more of a sword than a kunao. "Screw that. He killed Shio Izumai," Miyanaga said in a monotone. "I'm going to kill him and take his girlfriend as my bitch." Naruto actually snarled at this. Tenten got physical. She lashed out with her staff and separated the staff into 3 sections linked by thin, but strong chains. She whacked Abar across the head, drew the staff back and grabbed the 2 outer sections before delivering a punishing barrage of hits with the metal-capped ends on Miyanaga's abdomen. Sansetsukan Bajutsu, Sangeki Renden. The weapons mistress growled angrily as she backed away from the wheezing man. "I'm no man's bitch. And Naruto's my friend, not my boyfriend." "Umbu," the third man called, "scatter." With a curse and a pathetic attempt at a murderous glare in their direction. The 2 missing ninja vanished in puffs of smoke seconds before a strong gust of wind blew the dust cloud around them away and 4 figures in gray armor and animal masks appeared around the 2 of them. "Uzumaki-san, Jen and Higurashi, are either of you hurt?" the one with the bird mask asked urgently. "We're both fine, Torai-san," Naruto replied. "The only ones who got hurt were the Newtonin." "Newtonin?" Inside Konoha's walls, the cat-masked Umbu asked sharply. "Saru, go and alert the Chunin patrollers that we have a breach. Ryu and I will take these 2 to Hokage-sama. There's a dead Newtonin under one of the Dangan," Naruto said, his face turning a bit green. I crushed him." "First kill jitters," Nico muttered. "Come on Uzumaki-san. Hokage-sama will want to talk to the both of you." "Ryu, take Jen and Higurashi. Torai, gather all of Jen and Higurashi's weapons and seal up the body of the Newtonin for Yamanaka-san to analyze later." Torai nodded and set to work with Naruto's shadow clones as Nico and Ryu vanished with the 2 kids. Later, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen fought to keep the scowl off his face as Tenten gave her side of the story. "Newtonin." Inside Konoha, he thought angrily, targeting Naruto. "Whoever let them in will wish they had never been born when I get my hands on them." "Very good, Jen and Higurashi," he said once the bun-haired girl finished her recitation. "I must commend you for your actions and hereby award you the payment for a solo C rank for your efforts against the Newtonin. Naruto-kun, is there anything you'd like to add?" "Ano, I think that they weren't really Newtonin," his favorite orphan said with a frown. "Oh? What makes you say that?" Hiruzen asked thoughtfully. "They were dressed right, but the way they acted after the first sensation of ki, they didn't let off any more, as if they weren't trying to kill us." Naruto began listing the discrepancies. "Plus they spoke in complete monotone. No inflections, no accents, no emotions, nothing. They spoke the words, but it was like they were reading the words from a script rather than meaning them. It kind of felt like they were testing us." The Hokage felt a headache coming on. Emotionless shinobi? It could only be Danzo who was behind this. NE and its inhumane training regime create moderately capable combat shinobi, but the infiltration side of things was almost useless. Breaking someone of all emotions and making them see themselves as nothing more than a weapon not unlike a kunao tended to have that kind of effect on their ability to masquerade as a civilian. "Very good. I will take that information into account, Naruto-kun," he said with a nod. "Now, Jen and Higurashi." I have taken the liberty of informing your parents of what has occurred and they should be waiting outside. Nico-san, please take Naruto-kun back to his home while I explain how a genin was forced to fight Fortunen-level shinobi with only an academy student as backup. I'll come by later to talk to you about this in more detail, Naruto-kun. Hi, Jiji. Naruto nodded before he was whisked away by Nico. A few minutes later. Naruto's apartment. The Uzumaki stumbled as the purple-haired Umbu landed on his roof and shook his head doggedly. Side along Shunshin suck. He grumbled, do you want a cup of tea or something, Nico-san? Not on duty, but the thought is appreciated, Uzumaki-san. Nico replied. She paused for a moment before venturing, how are you coping with your first kill? Naruto sighed. The stopped him being emotional about it, but the intellectual side. Better than I thought I would. He admitted, I guess killing all those chakra mutations was of some good as I didn't freeze up when I realized I had killed him. But it isn't easy to realize a jutsu I used killed him. Nico put a hand on his shoulder. It shouldn't be comfortable. Even Umbu don't like to kill, but we do it when ordered to or when our duty demands it because otherwise those we have sworn to protect will suffer. The same applies in your case. Had you not reacted decisively as you did, Genin Higurashi could be undergoing a fate worse than death right now and you could be dead or crippled. Take pride in the fact that you prevented it and move forward. Thanks, Nico-san. Naruto smiled wanly, well, I'd best be getting back to practicing my Fuinjutsu. Still have to get those damn Type 1 scrolls right. May I see a copy? Nico asked curiously. Naruto led her into his apartment, pulled one from the pile of finished scrolls and handed it to her. Examining it, she nodded slowly. This is actually very well done for an amateur. Keep practicing as you have been and you could sell these. Would people actually buy storage scrolls that can only hold a single kunao? Naruto asked doubtfully. This size of storage scroll is small enough and thin enough to conceal easily. Nico explained, on infiltration missions. Being able to conceal a scroll with a weapon in it can mean the difference between life and death if things go wrong. So yes, you could sell them. 700 ryo a scroll, say. Wow. The blonde orphan said as he looked at the pile of scrolls with a new light, never realized these things could be useful. A saying from Heitake Sakumo, Kanaha no Shiroikiba applies here. Nico said, look underneath the underneath. See that which is not immediately obvious and the subtext that flows beneath what is typically seen and heard. You would be surprised as to how many things happen that you can't see normally. Naruto nodded slowly. Thank you for the advice, Nico-san. Think nothing of it? The masked woman replied, I must be heading back now. Hokage-sama will be with you by 7. With that, the Umbu walked out of the apartment and vanished in a Konoha Shunshin. So it was with a sigh that Naruto set up his miniature Fuinjutsu assembly line and settled down to examine the flurry of screens that had popped up since the ambush. Karmic choice, righteous. You gain plus 500 reputation with Higurashi Tenten. You gain plus 250 righteous alignment. You have defeated Shio Izumai Reiji. You earn 1500 EXP. Higurashi Tenten earns 1200 EXP. You have leveled up. LV12 LV13. You have 5 attribute points to spend. You saved alerted Higurashi Tenten to an attack from her blind spot. You gain plus 500 reputation with, and survive, you have survived the storm upon you. Congratulations on surviving. Quest completion reward, plus 3000 EXP, plus 1000 reputation with, minus 1000 reputation with, 10,000 ryo. Bonus objective achieved, You defeated the Kirigaku or missing ninja Shioizumi Reiji. Bonus objective reward, plus 250 relationship with. You have leveled up. LV13 LV14. You have 5 attribute points to spend. You impressed the Hokage with your analysis of your opponents. Plus 250 reputation with. Whew, that's cool. With my title not working anymore, it usually takes forever to level up. Naruto grumbled. Seriously. It took a month of constant grinding to level up twice once he reached level 10. Name, Uzumaki Naruto. Class, the gamer. Level, 14. Next level, 1.21%. Title, Academy Student. Age, 12. HP, 1700/1700. CP, 1700/1700. STR, 39. STA, 44. Dex, 30. Int, 30. WIS, 34. Luck. With 10 AP to play with, Naruto had to consider exactly what he wanted to do. His stamina was still far and above his top stat, with strength a close second. Dexterity was flagging though, so he dropped 5 points into that, with the other 5 going into intelligence. Now for the really good stuff. He opened his inventory and pulled out the jutsu scroll he had received for completing the bonus quest and grinned when the window popped up. You have acquired the jutsu scroll. Do you wish to learn this? Y/N. Finally. Another futon ninjutsu. Naruto cheered as he stabbed the Y button. All the Doton ninjutsu were nice, but he was really wanting to up the arsenal of his primary affinity. Congratulations. You have learned. Wind Style. Spiraling Wind Ball is a high C rank jutsu that, with time and practice, can be strong enough to pierce through solid rock. After forming the hand signs, the user brings their dominant hand to their lips and exhales, creating a sphere that can be fired at the target. With practice, these spheres can be fired consecutively. Hand signs, bird rat bird. Spheres fired, 1. Range, 10 meters. Damage, 25 plus 5%. Chakra cost, 27.4 CP. Huh. Naruto muttered. Yes, it was a long-range wind jutsu, something that he had been trying to get for a while, but it was somewhat less destructive than he had been hoping for. Well, I'll just have to train it up. He resolved. Next, he took out the from his inventory. It was royal blue, with light green trimming and the kanji for wind emblazoned on the back in black. There was even a patch on the arms to put a clan emblem on, which he would have to do. He said. Emblazoned with the kanji for wind, this jacket is perfect for one who aspires to wield futon ninjutsu, as it is said that one who wears it will have their futon ninjutsu empowered. Part of the set. Level 12. Def plus 15. Effect, minor wind empowerment, all futon ninjutsu gains plus 5 to their effects. Awesome, the blonde orphan breathed and shrugged the jacket on. It fit snugly without being too restrictive with his movement. Plus, it looked damn cool on him. Just about the only thing better would be a Haori of some kind. How are the scrolls coming, guys? Naruto asked. They look much better than the last lot. One clone opined as it examined its work critically, bearing in mind we've only been at this for a few days, that's pretty good. Do we need to do another scroll run? He asked the clone that was in charge of keeping account of the scrolls and ink. Not today or tomorrow, but the day after, definitely. The clone replied, ink lasts about that long too. Well, that's something at least. Naruto grumbled, I have to stick around and wait for Sarutobi Jiji what to do. The plants, one clone suggested offhand. Brightening up, Naruto went off to tend to his plants. He only needed to do it every week or so, but a little extra attention never hurt. Surprisingly, he hadn't gotten a gardening skill from all that, or even horticulture or anything remotely to do with the care and maintenance of plants. Some things about the Naruto decided were not anything close to making sense. Later, Hokage's office. And that's what Naruto-kun and Tenten-chan said. Sarutobi finished, opinions. The three men opposite him exchanged looks before one spoke up. Troublesome. Nara Shikaku groused, definitely Danzo's little clockwork army. The Uzumaki was pretty sharp to notice all those little things that even an experienced genin like Higurashi didn't notice. The question is, did he send them to capture or kill Naruto? Sarutobi asked, keeping his own opinions to himself. Akimichi Choza, seated to Shikaku's right, snorted. Danzo wouldn't have the balls to have the Uzumaki assassinated. He probably still has wet dreams about controlling him and usurping you, Hokage-sama. So capture it is. Sarutobi nodded in agreement. I suspect this might have something to do with my youngest, Asuma, moving into the Amekage apartments. Additionally, Asuma was almost injured in a mysterious accident with a runaway cart full of cabbages earlier. Yamanaka Inoichi raised an eyebrow. So you think the Warhawk didn't like the idea of Asuma-san living in the same building as our friendly neighborhood Jinchuriki and orchestrated a plan to both delay Asuma moving in and capture Naruto? I do. Hiruzen confirmed, as they withdrew as soon as Umbu were spotted. I suspect that part of their secondary objectives in the case they couldn't capture Naruto-kun was to draw out his Umbu watchers and identify them, as well as giving Danzo a proper report on Naruto's combat abilities. The other three nodded, bowing to the Sandame's greater knowledge of the inner workings of the mind of Shimura Danzo. Not an honor they would like to have. Question: is there any proof of the Newtonin being anything other than who they claimed themselves to be aside from the reports of a genin and an academy student? Shikaku asked. No. Sarutobi grated, the one that Naruto-kun killed had his head crushed rather spectacularly. So there isn't any brain for a Yamanaka to probe or any remaining sign of the Juinjutsu that Danzo uses to keep his agents from talking. Just about the only odd thing about the corpse is that it is pale, as if he had not been exposed to sunlight for many years. Any? Shikaku shook his head in disgust. So what's the plan? Obviously, Naruto-kun will be in danger of further attacks if Danzo thinks he can get away with it. Sadly, I cannot give him a larger detail of Umbu without compromising other missions. Sarutobi said with a sigh. Asuma will mitigate that somewhat, but he'll be on missions in another month's time. So his aegis shall be limited, especially when he takes a genin team. He requested our kids, I memory serves. Inoichi mused, you gonna say yes to that? I am tempted to. Sarutobi admitted, yet Asuma is probably the only person in Konoha other than Danzo and myself with an extensive knowledge of Futon ninjutsu, and Naruto is a primary wind element with an earth sub-element. Weren't you planning on putting the Uzumaki with Hatake? Shikaku asked. Kakashi requested him, along with Uchiha Sasuke, but Naruto-kun broke down the team dynamic of a potential team-up with him, Sakura-chan and Sasuke. The Hokage said as he lit his pipe. Not a pleasant one. He has been working with Sakura-chan to improve her general fitness and taijutsu with success, but Sasuke has a superiority complex, as well as an inferiority complex. Naruto-kun's rapid gain in strength since he started applying himself fully has made the Uchiha throw some unsettling looks at him. Troublesome. Choza commented, earning himself a dirty look from the original user of that phrase. Just about the only thing I would suggest, Shikaku said reluctantly, would be to have the place full of such politically sensitive people that you would be required to have several teams of umbu guarding it. Clan heirs and heiresses, visiting dignitaries, ambassadors. Those sorts of people. Either them or people who require watching due to suspicious behavior, but the first would be preferable. Obviously. Sarutobi nodded, but in case you hadn't noticed Shikaku, there isn't exactly a surfeit of clans who want their heirs or heiresses to move into a Jinchuriki's building. Hayashi, just to give a random example, would throw a fit at the suggestion. As for dignitaries and ambassadors, there's already the Golden Leaf Hotel and the dignitaries' barracks in the Hokage Tower itself. And I refuse to put Naruto-kun in further danger by entertaining the last suggestion. You could have the genin from the newly graduated class move in there after graduation. Shikaku pointed out lazily, give them some guff about learning independence and financial management. With so many in one place, you'd be obliged to make the Amekage apartments a high priority watching situation. Useful for after graduation, but not so much at the moment. Inoichi pointed out, there's still several months until then. Well, Yoshino won't let Shikamaru move out before graduating, I'll tell you that for nothing. The Nara clan head said firmly, I can imagine the same would be true for your wives. Inoichi and Choza grimaced and nodded in agreement, making Sarutobi chuckle. While not anywhere close to being as intimidating as Nara Yoshino, the wives of the other two members of the original Inoshikacho were not women to be crossed lightly, if at all. I think we should table this until we have more ideas. He said firmly, for the moment. Naruto-kun is safe and I shall instruct his umbu guards to maintain a stricter vigil on him while in training ground 13 to prevent this sort of incident from happening again. Inoichi, how did the interviews with the former council members go? The Yamanaka smiled grimly. Oh, they were most illuminating. I'll have the report written up for you by the end of the week. Excellent. The Hokage was sick and tired of people messing with Naruto and deliberately making things hard for him. So that report would be highly useful in making those who had removed all mention of Uzushiagakuwa from the syllabus. He knew that the main instigator would be Danzo, with Koharu and Homura as either willing conspirators or unknowing patsies. Those three had always disliked how Ozu had been so prominent, with Danzo quite plainly greedy for the many powerful Fuinjutsu techniques that the Uzumaki had at their command. It was of no surprise that they were behind the total suppression of Uzushiagakuwa's existence, other than a small note that it had been destroyed at the start of the Second Great Ninja War. Until recently, Sarutobi had been too tired to do much other than the thrice-damned paperwork and block attempts to have Naruto further ostracized by the civilian council. But with the revelation of exactly how much his surrogate grandson had been putting up with unbeknownst to him, a fire had been lit inside the old Hokage. The Sandaime Kami no Shinobi was back and no one would do further harm to Naruto or any other citizen of Konoha if he had a say in matters. Later. Naruto's apartment. Naruto-kun. Sarutobi said as he entered his favorite orphan's home, the place looks wonderful. Are those storage scrolls? Naruto grinned excitedly. Yeah, just type 1 scrolls, but I have to practice making something to get better at Fuinjutsu. The old man hid a smile as the hyperactive blonde dragged him over to the table where over 50 Type 1 storage scrolls were stacked in neat little stacks. Examining some of them, Sarutobi had to admit they were very well done for an amateur, almost being good enough to sell. It didn't surprise him in the slightest, as members of the Uzumaki clan had a nice supernatural edge when it came to the art of sealing. He was modestly skilled at it himself, which was how he could tell that while rough in some places, the skill Naruto was showing with Fuinjutsu was doing his ancestors proud. He hoped that the boy made it to Chunin soon so he could give him his mother's inheritance. Kushina would no doubt beat him up when he died for not giving him the scrolls to do with the Uzumaki clan now rather than later. But he simply couldn't afford for those who might wish Naruto further harm to find out about it until he was strong enough. Now then, Naruto-kun, the old man sighed as he sat down and accepted a cup of tea from the boy. I am so very sorry that you had to endure that attack this morning. Rest assured, this matter is being thoroughly investigated by the Umbu. How are you feeling after your first kill? I'm better. Naruto replied, slumping a bit as he spoke. I got some good advice from Nico-san, so I've been better than just after I realized what I did. It isn't easy, is it? No. No, it isn't. Sarutobi replied gently, I am sad to say that it will become easier as you kill more. A sad fact of being human is that we can get used to anything given enough time. Still, killing is not always the way to go, Naruto-kun. This time was an accident, but next time, make certain that your clones know to aim their ninjutsu to cripple rather than kill. The boy nodded solemnly. Will do, Jiji. Now, as you heard, I gave Tenten-chan C rank pay for her actions. The old Hokage continued, sadly, I cannot pay you for your actions, which both your reports make clear contributed to holding the missing ninja at bay, but I can give you these. Reaching into his sleeves, he pulled out 2 scrolls and set them before a wide-eyed Naruto. These jutsu scrolls contain a Katon technique and a Suten technique. He explained. But I'm Futon primary, Doton secondary. Naruto said in confusion. While it is important to learn jutsu that naturally costs less chakra to use and is more effective when you use it, it is also important to have a wide variety of skills to use. Learning ninjutsu outside of your primary elemental affinities is one of those skills. Sarutobi lectured him, I was born with primary Katon, secondary Doton. And I was happy with those skills for a while. Then I lost when I fought someone who was a primary Suten, secondary lightning, so I started to learn jutsu outside of my primaries so that would never happen again. I continued doing it, and eventually mastered Suten, Raiten, and Futon in addition to Katon and Doton, something no shinobi save for the Rakuto Sennin has ever accomplished, earning me the title of Sandaime Kami no Shinobi. A great thing from small beginnings. Understood, Jiji. Naruto nodded. About Tenten, did you know that she doesn't know any ninjutsu outside of the Academy 3? This earned him a raised eyebrow. No, but it doesn't surprise me. Mato Guy promised Rock Lee to only use taijutsu as long as he was his student. I had assumed that he was getting a tutor in to teach Hyaganiji and Tenten, but your words lead me to believe he has not. Naruto shook his head. Just taijutsu, basic fuinjutsu, and weapon forms. I see. Dare I hope that you have plans to rectify this situation? Sarutobi asked, mentally scheduling a meeting with Guy for neglecting his kunoichi student. What's up everyone, Kaze no What If is here with What If Naruto had a leveling system. Before we start, if you like the video, like it, share with your friends, comment, and let's start the video. I will, but the scrolls I've been reading from have gone missing. Naruto admitted, I've memorized them, but it would be useful if she could read the jutsu I'm teaching her. What jutsu do you know? Sarutobi asked. Doton, Dangan, Doton, Gansutsukan, Futon, Senfukyo, Futon, Kaiten Shuriken, Doton, Moguragakuer and Doton, Iwa Bunshin. Naruto rattled off, plus whatever those jutsu are. I'll furnish you with copies of those jutsu by Saturday. Sarutobi frowned. If someone was sneaking into Naruto's apartment when he wasn't there, there was no telling what he or she might be doing. he resolved to have Nico go over the entire apartment the next time Naruto was out attending the academy. Oh, by the way, I found a Fuinjutsu scroll in Training Ground 13. Naruto mentioned, it was called Fuinjutsu, Kijiboi, I think. Do you know what it does? Ah, that's an old one. Sarutobi chuckled, it is a basic, but effective way of enhancing the defensive properties of clothes against a particular form of attack. It's rarely used nowadays, but it is useful if you know that your enemies are going to be taijutsu users, kenjutsu users, or ninjutsu users in advance. The downsides are that the seal only works against one specific type of attack. It has to be empowered with chakra, and that once that chakra reservoir is depleted, the seal is useless until you have a chance to recharge it. I'll have to see about learning it once I'm good enough at Fuinjutsu, Naruto said thoughtfully. It was only then that Sarutobi noticed the new jacket that the blonde wore, a jacket that he recognized. Is that a Fujin series jacket, Naruto-kun? He asked with raised eyebrows. A lesser one, yes. The boy confirmed, found it in Training Ground 13, bundled up in a tree hollow. Took a bit of time to clean it and mend it, but it's as good as new now. Why? Those were a limited series of clothing that was put into production over a decade ago. The Hokage answered with a chuckle, the lesser Fujin series had a jacket, trousers, and sandals. While the greater Fujin series had all that plus a t-shirt, haori, gauntlets and greaves. All had elegant fuinjutsu that had various effects on futon ninjutsu. I must confess that I thought most were still languishing in attics, as not many use winjutsu these days. I'm glad to see that one will be used as it was intended. Yeah, I'll have to see if Tenten has any in her shop. Naruto said brightly before frowning, if her parents will let me see her after today. Oh, you don't need to worry about that. The Hokage chuckled, they were angry at me though. As it is my responsibility to make certain that the borders of Konoha are monitored so this sort of thing doesn't happen. You, my boy, earned their respect for not running. As a civilian, you were not compelled to fight against missing ninja. As if I'd let Tenten fight against them alone. Naruto huffed, especially after what they said they were gonna do to her. Even if it was just a cover story? Sarutobi chuckled again. Yes, that was just like Naruto. Hokage-sama. Nico appeared in a puff of smoke behind the village leader. You wished me to remind you about the fact you're hosting dinner at your home for Asuma-san and Asahi-san. Ah, so I am. Is it that time already? The Sandaime mused as he glanced at the time. Well, it seems I must be off, Naruto-kun. Nico-san here will bring you the scrolls you requested soon. Thanks, Jiji. Tell Asuma-sensei his apartment is ready for him to move into whenever he wants. Naruto waved bye to him and Nico as the two left. I'll do that, my boy. Sarutobi chuckled before vanishing in a shunshin with Nico. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe to my channel for more fanfictions like this, and goodbye.